Smooth
Yes.
98.1.
Wow, gentlemen, you just up yourselves up on YouTube. It's all good. Studio. 32 minutes gone past 30 minutes gone past 7 o'clock, and this is Fresh and Crest on Smooth Breakfast. I'm Shopper Martins.
And I'm Victor Pepple. For the next 30 minutes, we'll bring you some real big stories with analysis.
Okay, joining us for those 30 minutes and for the analysis of the stories we've got for you, Mr. C, good morning.
Bonjour.
Bonjour to you too.
Bonjour, la boss.
And Lakule, good morning.
It's not a morning for me. I've not slept all night. I've been a victim of the announced closure of Lagos by the Expressway.
Oh, wow.
I've not slept all night
Oh,
right now,
boy.
so it's not a morning.
It's still the continuation of the day. So you
of-
were in that traffic.
I'm even
Not
happy.
me. Members of my family were coming back to Lagos, and of course, if they were there, there was no I was going to sleep at home. I stayed on the phone all through.
Oh, you're a very nice family member. I sleep on them. I'm like, oh, guys, you wake me up when you need me. All right, so we've got you too. All you need to do is send your WhatsApp messages to 0809 440 Leave your comments up on the live stream on YouTube. On the app, we are Smooth 981 FM. If you're coming in via website, youtube.com/Smooth 981 FM Lagos. And of course, we are also up on Twitter at Smooth 981 FM. You know to tag us if you want us to read your messages out on the show. Okay, so let's start off with our first big news of the day. It comes in from the Punch newspaper. I have done well, says Buhari. And I'm going to read this quote and I'll give it to you, Mr. C, for your thoughts. Remember, morning radio. This administration has done extremely well. I had to say it because those who are supposed to say it are not doing so. I don't know why, the president said. He was speaking during a stakeholders meeting at the Imo State Government House in the state capital after inaugurating the Ori Olo Road Phase 1. So, Mr. C, coming to you for this, a lot of people are I mean, we've taken the pulse of the nation and seen the back and forth and the conversations regarding the president's and his administration's efficacy over the past few years. Does he have a point that the right people are not saying that his administration and he himself in the office of Mr. President has done what they've been doing, which is well, in his opinion?
Okay. So let's start. The president said he's done extremely well considering the limited resources available to him.
Hmm.
So that statement was made in a certain context. And we cannot be mysterious and take it out of that context. Now, it's just regret. It's interesting to note that in the 7 years, actually, he started his 8th year. So literally in the 8 years he's been in office, Nigeria's gone through 2 recessions. And his statement that those who were supposed to say it hadn't said it speaks volumes of his handling of a lot of matters. You appointed your image officials, you appointed your spokespersons. You come out nationally and admit they're not doing the jobs they were appointed to do. You haven't sacked anyone. Why are you complaining to us? Why are you moaning to us? You're the commander in chief, the box stops on your table. If they're not doing the work you've appointed them to do, can you please get rid of them? 2, another reason, a reason why they've not done what he thinks they should do is, in all honesty, there's very little to report on. Now, here's the thing. Take all the points he campaigned on in 2015 and 2019. If we want to be truly objective, can we honestly give him a 50% mark in any of those areas?
Now, Mr. C, something I'm going to put out there is this stage that we're in, the world is going through a lot and has been going through a lot for the past couple of years. And of course, it's had its effect on Nigeria and also on the global sentiment as to where people are currently feeling quite dissatisfied with the lives that they are leading and the circumstances of the lives that they are leading. How much of that is a factor in the perception of this administration's effectiveness?
Okay, so yes, you're right to a certain extent. That happened. That has happened. But remember in 2015, when he first came into office, there was a clamor for him to immediately devalue the naira to reflect its true value, to get rid of the conflicting foreign exchange rates and have a unified, harmonized rate so that you completely wipe out the black market. The rate reflects the true rate on the street. He refused to do any of the two. We've had some adjustments, what they call adjustments of the value of the naira. They've tried to harmonize some of the rates for the forex window, but we still have the black market rate. We still have the official rate. Now, the official rate, I think it's 420, 425. The black market rate on Monday, I know some who changed the dollars for 700 naira to a dollar. So between 425, let's even move it to 450. Between 450 and 700, that's 250 naira. That's huge arbitrage to be made on each US dollar. Now, in terms of the economy, can he truly say or suggest to us that he's done exceedingly well? I don't think so. I don't agree. His handling of the economy, no. Yes, we've had a Russia-Ukraine conflict, but that started last year. Before last year, what was his story? What was his excuse? In terms of security, has he done exceedingly well? I would say no. In terms of education, certainly not. In terms of health, certainly not. Agriculture, maybe he's done a bit. Infrastructure, I'll concede that he's completed jobs that were started by other administrations. So to a certain extent, he's done something. But overall, I think he's stretching credibility by even saying he's done extremely well. Mr. Buhari.
With the limited resources
Even
that
with the
his
limited
administration
resources.
had available.
So even with the limited resources, with better planning, better coordination between his agencies, between his ministries, it would have been a lot better. Take, for example, I'll give you an example of the confusion that exists within his agencies. The tax on communication, the proposed tax. And the communication minister came out to say he wasn't aware of it, he wasn't carried along. Meanwhile, it's now part of law. What can be more confusing than that? What can be more embarrassing than that? So it's fair to say he has tried, given his limited resources, but to say he's done exceedingly well, I strongly disagree.
So sorry, just to quickly point something out. The communications tax is becoming a part of law. I think it's the rate that is in contention. It's not that it wasn't consulted about the law itself. So
Luckily, the finance minister came out. No, not the finance. The communication minister came out to say what I recall him being stated as saying is he wasn't even aware of it, which is very shocking because before any act is passed, there are public hearings. The relevant ministries, agencies, and even stakeholders are invited to provide memoranda and to contribute to the proposed clauses.
that's
All right, let's take it over to the Punch newspaper, where strike. Federal government irresponsible, Nance says, continues protest Wednesday. That's today. Now, following its protest yesterday, which grounded the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, the National Association of Nigerian Students appear to be relentless in seeking urgent resolution of the ongoing strike action of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. Two questions. Blocking the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, how does it affect Mr. President, and will we see an overall impact of the strike? That's number one. Number two, the strike continues today. Yes, it's okay for them to strike, and they're protesting government's inaction with regards to the 7 months strike that has begun since February till now. And they said 15 negotiations have been done so far without any tangible results. I mean, they've had meetings, negotiations, no results 15 times.
okay. So let me start from the lighter notes. From the lighter notes, the telcos in Nigeria today will be smiling to the banks this morning, judging by the number of people that were caught in that traffic. like I said at the beginning, I am a victim of that, right? So, having said that, everybody knows my position about the strike. I still think that the problem itself is well defined. What both sides have been doing for the past 7 months is describing the problem that we already know. When you sit at the table, what are they negotiating about? What is it that you have put on the table? I want this, I want that. This is what I can give you, this is what I can give you. Okay, so that's where you are stuck. Take your ego out of it. Look at it from, take an helicopter view of what the issues are. Concede to yourself what I'm giving up for my demand. This, I'll give up this if you give me this. I'll give you this if you take this off the whatever. I mean, these things, we are adults for crying out loud. Much of the problems we've had in this country, much of the issues we've had in this country are not in itself because of the problem itself or the issues that are being discussed. It is the ego and the feeling that I am right, you are wrong, that everybody carries into those discussions. And we're playing with people's lives. Okay, so when they blocked the road yesterday, imagine for a moment there were tankers carrying fuel in that traffic. Imagine for a moment somebody was careless and had this and had what's it called, and lit a, excuse me, and had lighted a cigarette or something. Imagine that armed robbers or whatever, because those places are notorious for those things. But okay, I must also mention, because I heard, I was confirmed that the entire length of the road from, I think, Bega up to Ibafu, I think, were manned by security agencies. We must thank the government for at least providing that in that place. Imagine that police had gone to the point where they had where they had blocked the road. We won't be saying what we are saying here today. People had children, toddlers with them in that place. If anybody had a medical emergency in that place, everybody will forget that they are protesting, that they are home. Yeah. And then it becomes another problem.
But will this make the government sit up to responsibility?
So the question is, was that their target? Was that the recommended target audience for them to carry that out?
It is a wrong thing to do because you have put so many lives much at risk. You have put so many other people's lives at risk. People don't even know what you are talking about. We had toddlers in that thing, in caught up in that thing with their mothers.
Wait, hold on.
Mothers,
Luckily, are you trying to say that students protesting for their rights is wrong?
No, you can protest, but you cannot protest and put other people's lives at risk. That's what they have just done.
My question is, will the government resolve this lingering issue after what happened yesterday?
It's not going to affect anything because the same thing, that's where we still are. We keep, like I'm don't want to be sounding like a broken record on this. The men and women that are in this negotiation are not doing this in the interest of anybody. Everybody, as far as I'm concerned, of all I've heard from all of them, everybody is, I am right, you are wrong. If you don't accept I'm right and you are wrong, we are not moving forward. That's where everybody is at today. And I'm saying, as adults, as people who have the good, who have the good, who have the I'm upset, the best interest of this country at heart, we should be able to give up some things, to accept some things and move on.
In the spirit of compromise, you're saying?
Yes, exactly.
I still will say that they've compromised far too long. Far too much for far too long.
Let me come, right? Very quickly. You work in an office, right?
Yes, I do.
If your employer gives you a bad chair where the legs are creaking and crumbling, the chair isn't balanced, the table is creaking and fumbling from side to side, and you repeatedly complain that, look, you haven't given me the right tools to work with. Your laptop will barely stay on the keys, it's unresponsive. And he continues to say, please just carry on with that. And it's affecting your own productivity, it's affecting your morale. Would you continue with that job?
My first option would be I'd leave the job.
You leave the job, okay,
yes,
fine.
Because I cannot, that's the best I can do. I cannot strike. If I strike, I could get sacked.
Okay, so fantastic.
I'll look for someone else to do.
We have lecturers.
So if we want to go to that route, are we saying,
so
if we want to go that route, are we saying, like I jokingly said on social media once, that the way to solve this problem is let everybody go to the extreme of the extremes. Let the lecturers start to resign. Let the government also start to sack them or go to court and go and declare the strike illegal. and then maybe if both of them, all of them goes to that extreme, which is now the government has taken that route. They've gone to the industrial courts. They were supposed to meet on Friday. There's a rule. A hearing will be on Friday, this Friday. I hear that some lecturers, some universities are already resigning and leaving. Okay, so if that is the extreme that everybody wants to go to, and then we scatter everything as they say on the streets, maybe then our eyes will clear. But I'm saying that there's still something that can be done.
We need to
got
move
to
on.
move
We need to
on.
move on from
Going
this
out on
story.
YouTube, we'll take your messages up on the live stream. Ayo says, if the right people are not saying that the president is doing well, it is an indication that he is not. Plus, in public office, the public opinion counts, not his opinion. The numbers do not lie.
Well, Tunji has a message here. Limited resources. You worsened FX by refusing to devalue, closed the borders, kept fuel subsidy, and drove away FDI with stupid policies. And you complain about limited resources.
Yep.
Limit your
The limits that you helped exacerbate. Really, I think that's what's interesting.
exactly.
Chukwemeka says, yes, Mr. President has done marvelously well. We, the citizens, are feeding very well. The hospital bills are free. There's no more insecurity and no more looting of the treasury. Wonderful praise. Okay.
Bumi is saying your analyst
Sarcasm.
isn't getting the point concerning the protest. For crying out loud, aren't the students at risk? Please, whatever it takes to get the government to do what needs to be done, even if it means grounding the system, the government can't continue to be careless and blame the students.
Yinka Bolu says, I agree with Lakame. Why not just take the protest to Asu Rock? And if Mr. C, if Asu is not happy with the federal government, then they should leave the job.
Who will remain if everybody goes?
I don't think that's a question for you that you need to worry about. But Lakunle, we need to move on with the messages. Thank you very much. Ladile says,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, thank you.
I'm with Lakunle
I'm with
here.
Lakunle here. In as much as the parties in this ASU strike are unnecessarily being stubborn, to what use is blocking the road that doesn't actually affect the people or these people? We as citizens need to learn to stop channeling our energy and anger at the wrong people. To be fair, you see these lecturers, we need to actually question their motives.
Mr. Lakunle, please protest our normal way of expressing grievances in every part of the world. Tony Nisolo is saying that. We're very ungrateful in this country. We fail to appreciate a wonderful leader who has bettered our lives by sacrificing everything. Truly, we don't deserve Angel Boo Boo. We have security, our economy is doing well, our students are learning other skills, inflation is very low, tax is less, we can afford 3 meals per day thanks to Baba Buhari. Yes, we're very, very ungrateful. Nericello from Ogudu Center.
I see that we have the sarcasm chorus in our messages. And Izzy says, limited resources. What is our foreign loan stock? Moving on.
Okay, Olu is saying surely PMB is living in another multiverse where he does extremely well. At all sectors and by the indicators, he has failed woefully on the issue of tax. What is a tax if not the tax rate? Limited resources, but we can buy 10 Land Cruisers for Niger. Civil rights and 2010. We see the mass stealing of billions, the accountants general, and all the fainting officials, Ibukun from Third Mainland Bridge. But let's continue with the stories. Quite a number of messages, I must add.
Yes, and I feel they're all around that one particular article. Okay, let's take a look at this next one from The Nation. Federal government, actually I'm able to take two of them together because they concern the same thing. Now, federal government to eliminate kerosene lighting in 2023. So the president was represented by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, and this was at the 15th Annual Banking and Finance Conference, which was organized by the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, over which he spoke about a wide range of things. But this particular article touches on a topic of climate change and the effects of long-term greenhouse emissions, which have resulted in hotter temperatures, more severe rainstorms, increased drought, and food security issues, to which the government has set forth some plans in motion to significantly tackle and reduce the greenhouse emissions from Nigeria, part of which is to eliminate kerosene lighting by 2030. 2023, if only. But by 2030.
Okay, so very quickly, 2030 is only 8 years away. That's the first point. Now, the second
Yes.
point is this: nobody voluntarily chooses to use kerosene to cook. It's because the person cannot afford cooking gas and cannot afford electricity to power an electric stove. Now, having said that, this government, like all other governments, is very good at making declarations and very bold, vague policy statements. You want to eliminate, abolish, so not even to reduce, you want to completely abolish it in only 8 years. I don't know how many of our listeners remember the year 2000 and all the nonsense that went on with that policy statement. Then it became Vision 2020. Guess what? 2020 was 2 years ago. How many of the proclaimed
Cliches.
milestones were achieved in either policy statement? Now we're here with 2030, we're abolishing the use of kerosene. Now, what is the government doing to ensure one, the economy improves substantially, that year on year, the rate of growth in the GDP of our GDP outstrips the rate of growth in the number of Nigerian citizens that exist? That's one. Two, what are you doing to ensure that more entities are producing cooking gas locally? What efforts are you making long term to ensure that electricity is widely available for long hours of the day at affordable prices, or at prices that people will get it? Because these are the things that need to be put in place if you're going to truly abolish kerosene, the use of kerosene. And until these things are in place, this is another bold backward statement that has no real effect. And it's interesting to note they didn't provide any details.
Specificity is a key to communication. From this day, also, let's just look at this one and add it in because it was at the same conference that we heard from Mr. President again through the Minister of Finance. This article from this day newspaper says Buhari hails CBN, NDIC, NICOM, and others on financial system stability, and also assured that his administration will continue to support the entire banking and finance industry in all the appropriate ways to ensure that it continues to deliver on the mandates that it's been given while creating value innovation for customers. Lots of words here,
Yeah.
Mr. C.
Again, a lot of big sounding words. Now, I don't know what he means by financial system stability. Yes, our financial system hasn't crashed yet, but I would not say it's because of what he has done. I would say it in spite of what he has done. The central bank, the central bank governor, is not widely loved or admired in the financial services industry because he's taking certain steps that they don't agree with. And he appears to be pushing a policy that is at variance with the realities of our system today. Now, this is a governor who has, for want of a better word, has demonstrated some very interesting theories, economic theories. No, don't worry, I wasn't going to say anything funny, don't worry. Now,
Just listening.
Now, some of the agencies have actually tried. NICOM has actually done a very good job in the insurance subsector. They've removed the licenses of a lot of insurance firms that weren't doing well. They oversaw a recent recapitalization round, and they're determined to ensure that insurance subsector of the economy is running properly. NDIC has invited depositors in 28 liquidated banks to show up and start collecting part of the monies they lost when those banks were liquidated. With the CBN, they've dabbled into so many areas. The CBN is into agriculture, is into its entertainment, is into. I would want the CBN to focus on its core mandate, the economy. Get the forex rates harmonized so that we can then plan better. When the forex rates are harmonized, final point, it is then that the foreign portfolio investors will come in because they know that when they bring in their foreign currency, they're getting the real value and also make it easy for them to repatriate their forex activities.
From the Nation newspaper, Army were tracking terror sponsors that sponsors of terrorism and other criminal activities are being tracked, the Nigerian army said yesterday. In addition, they said all arrangements have been concluded to offer necessary security assistance and ensure successful conduct of the general elections next year. Two things. Number one, we're still tracking terror sponsors. Secondly, the role of the military during elections. Ideally, they're not supposed to be part of an election. It is the job of the police, internal security. Your reaction to that?
Let me start from the second one. So, typically, we've said this severally at this table, in this studio, that Nigerian police, in terms of personnel, is not. We don't have enough. We have 350,000. Even if of the 350,000 of them are deployed nationwide. Okay, so let's just give a classic example. The last election in Osun State, 21,000 personnel were deployed.
Because it was an
Let's
off-cycle
do
election.
let's do 21,000 times 36 plus 1. You see, it's already beyond 350,000. That's going to. I'm just saying. I'm
It
just
was an
saying.
off-cycle election.
Whatever it
We
is,
can't
let's
afford that.
assume. I'm trying to drive a point why you have the military get engaged.
But do we
in this
need
thing.
as much as 20,000 security in an
whatever
election?
whatever it is that where we are, that is what we're doing. So we have to speak from what we are doing to what we should do or what we think that we should do. What we do today, one state, one election, governorship election only, one day, 21,000 personnel. So so let's imagine that all those elections were holding in all the states. Do we have 21,000 per state? No, we don't. How do we supplement that number? We'll bring in the military, we'll bring in the civil defense, we'll bring in every form of uniform that we can find to supplement that number. And that's why you have the military in here. Don't also forget, ordinarily, of the 36 states today, can you, off the top of your head, name one state where the military is not involved in providing one security or the other? So they are already there doing this every day anyway. So engaging them to do election duty is no longer a big deal. So what is pleasing here is that there is a documentation of how they should engage people, criminals, whoever, election riggers, thugs, whoever, during election. That is pleasing. However, the first point about tracking funders of terrorism, ordinarily, that is not the job of the military. But of course, nature abhors a vacuum. We just said the police are not adequate in terms of almost everything. So whenever they are lacking in doing their job, somebody else will fill the space. It also takes me to the point again that, okay, so the United Arab Emirates a few months ago named some Nigerians as funders of terrorism. Yeah. What have we done with those ones? There's another one that which state governor said they know them. Is it Kaduna State Governor that said they know?
Yes, Kaduna.
They know the people who are funding them. If you know them, why have we not named them in the minimum? Why have we not investigated them? Why have we not arrested them? We keep hearing we will, we are. It's so tiring to be hearing these things. Let's put some action into it. It will be pleasing to say, okay, we have arrested Mr. So and so, Mrs. So and so, and this is the evidence of an extent of backing this person is giving to these activities. So he's going to go to court, and then he gets to court, and the person is tried and found guilty or not guilty or whatever it is that's going to happen. If there are no actions to these things, people will get bolder in doing these things, and it will be staring us in the faces that we would not be able to solve it. But it's so comforting that at least the military is talking to us, and we are having an idea of what they are doing around the place.
Let's go to your messages now. On 0809 440 981. We've got tons of WhatsApp messages. We've also got your tweets coming in on to @smooth981fm. I'll read this one from Engineer Strategic, who says, but guys, come to think of it, if a WIAC attempted man could solve simple arithmetic and could not solve simple quadratic equations, is he not right to say he did well in mathematics? Nigerians are reaping what they sow. And we got more, but We'll go to WhatsApp now for the rest of the messages.
The solution is for universities to be privatized, and they should introduce a system where college graduates can also get good jobs. Nigerian government should stop getting involved in commerce.
Idimapuza from Surulere says, as President Buhari has said, his government has actually done well. More of the sarcasm chorus. Insecurity is no more. Prices of food is now available. Other countries are now borrowing from Nigeria. Nigeria is more united now. In fact, I would recommend the president to go for a third term. What do you guys think?
As I'm concerned, the APC government has failed Nigerians. As far as I'm concerned, please help me tell our president to return everything good luck handed over to him. Good morning, my people.
And thank you, Cruz. Let's move on to another message.
Okay.
We'll move on to this message from Tonya, who says, there's a famous statement that goes, by their actions you shall know their character. It's crystal clear from the actions of the politicians that none of them truly care about the country. Excuse me, they have no stake in its success. Wow, don't know where that came from. Their lives are paid for on government expenses. They don't school here. They don't have to be stuck in the traffic that we have to. They don't go through the bad roads. They don't have to truly experience the country as it actually is.
All right, that's the end of it. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today. Sincere apologies. We cannot take any of the messages again. Loads and tons of messages have come in today. But let's wrap things up here. We'll do this again tomorrow at 7:30. We'll take you inside the locker room at 8:15 today. Good morning.
Headlines. The stories.
I'm going to keep seeing those messages from him, and I'm not going to read them.
But he even sent on.
Yes, he sent it on
Which
Twitter,
guy?
and he should continue to send it.
Who about me? What did you say to you, my
I
friend?
don't see. You can have a difference of opinions. That's not a problem. It's the manner in which you express your difference of opinions. I don't like it when people